Well, hello, hello, hello. Can everybody out there see me or hear me? Well, we are live we should be live on Facebook right now, but um, anyway, I'm Mike Pittman, and I'm here to talk about plant-based diets tonight. Plant-based diets. Can everybody see me and hear me? I'm going to take just a few seconds to make sure that anybody else is going to join in. Well, there we go. Well, we are live right now, and here talking about, excuse me, plant-based diets. Then I'm hoping everybody can hear me. Uh, but the benefits of plant-based diets. I've been on the plant-based diet now for the last 6 months, and as a result of that, I've dropped about 53 pounds. I was a sugar addict, serious sugar addict, eating a lot of sugar, as well as the white flour. And the sad part about it, I was a vegetarian and have been a vegetarian for over 20 years, but I was still overweight as a vegetarian. Figure that one out. And what I found is that even being a vegetarian, you can still eat the wrong foods. Uh, Vegetarian means that you can eat sugar. A vegetarian means that you can eat a lot of bread and fried foods. And to me, that was kind of one of the things that I was doing. Ever since I've been a little kid, I've craved sugar and cookies and cakes and pies and all those type of things that I've craved. And it's been a journey being able to recognize that as you get older that these particular type of things aren't good for you, and they could cause you a lot of problems as you get older. So I've learned now to be able to eat better, uh, and to really pay attention to what I put in my body. And then processed foods is another thing. Uh, Processed foods are, in my opinion, they're terrible for you. And you can be eating vegetarian and still be eating processed food. So figure that one out. That your veggie burgers that you buy from the grocery store, they might be plant based, but at the same time, too, they're still processed. In my opinion, I don't claim to be an authority on any of this, but by the same token, I just believe in many of the benefits of eating correctly. I've watched several documentaries over the last year, 6, 7 months. Some of the favorite ones are Plant Based, Plant Based Nation, Forks Over Knives. There are tons of them out there that you can watch to find out about uh, what it is that we're putting in our bodies in terms of how they affect our health. And I recently did a post on a Facebook site, one of the health sites on there, and all I did was ask people about plant-based diets and the benefits that they have gotten from plant-based diets, and it's been, the responses were remarkable, all the way from people who had various type of illnesses, diabetes, high blood pressure, numerous issues that people said that they had, and by going on a plant-based diet, they eliminated all of these problems that they were having. So there's something to be said about eating the foods in this uh, most natural form, that you don't cook all the nutrients out of it. And again, folks, I don't claim to be an expert on any of this, so I'm only talking about my own personal experiences. And if there's anyone that wants to come on and join me to talk about maybe some of the experiences that you've had as it relates to plant-based eating and changing your diet, please feel free to comment or come on. Say this was a last-minute thing that I just did, and just to throw something together, just to start some dialogue about this topic and about this subject. It's amazing when I'll study some of the documentaries and watch them and listen, specifically the one about Forks Over Knives, Dr. Esselstyn, and I can't remember the other guy's name, Colin Campbell, I think is his name, too, the pioneers as it relates to plant-based eating. And some of the things that Dr. Esselstyn talked about is he's a heart surgeon, and how he says that with a plant-based diet that you can totally eliminate heart disease. He calls it something that's very preventable. And if you look at the documentary, you'll see that there are so many different types of people that were in the documentary that had gotten healed by being on a plant-based diet. There was one lady out of Ohio who was diabetic, taking shots for a number of years, and getting on a plant-based diet. She was able to eliminate the insulin, was able to lose a bunch of weight, lower her blood pressure, all by what she was eating. So in essence, you can probably say that, we're digging a grave with our teeth in terms of the foods that we're eating on a daily basis, the processed foods, even the water that we drink. And again, folks, let me issue a disclaimer that I'm not an expert on this. I'm only telling you in terms of some of the things that I've personally experienced and how I've been able to change my diet and to be more healthy. And I believe this is something that anybody and everybody can do. It's not just specific to me, but I believe there's so many addictions that are out there in terms of the foods that we eat. And I believe even some of the things that they put in the foods to addict us to want to eat more. Not to call out any particular business, but I saw a documentary where they poured hot molten, I can't think of hot molten, just like a fiery substance on a hamburger from a particular food chain. And the hamburger didn't change at all. It didn't burn it. It was remarkable to see something like that, and then to think that this is some of the things that we're putting in our body. So the thing being, and even saying that, is that, can we take control of our health? Can we make a big difference in terms of the things that we eat? I see a friend of mine just came on. I see you, Mike, on there. I can actually bring you on. Video if you like, Mike. See my sister-in-law just joined on the video. Marie, how you doing, Marie? But I am so enthralled now in terms of the foods that we can eat and how we can help ourselves to be able to be more health conscious and to basically try to, live a quality life in terms of the things that we do and the foods that we eat. Thank you, Mike. I say great job, amigo. And my sister-in-law, Marie, and down in St. Louis, she's doing good. She's had a few challenges, but she's doing a lot better. So Marie, how you doing? But Mike, another friend of mine named Mike Soldonic, who's actually watching on this video too, who teaches a lot of classes, and who's pretty much turned his life around in terms of the things that he's eating and how he feels about his diet or whatnot. Michael, you want to come on? You want to come on, Mike? I'd love to have you come on and talk a little bit about some of the things that what you feel about some of the things that how we eat and how it affects our health. Again, like I said, I don't claim to be an expert on this. All I'm telling you is that I do believe that we can change our health just by the foods that we eat. I know Mike is really big on intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is where you fast for so many hours a day, and that you have a certain time frame that you can eat throughout the day. And I know a lot of individuals have benefited from intermittent fasting as well in terms of losing weight, getting rid of a thing called visceral fat. And this is a type of fat that's around your organs that can actually be detrimental to your health, that you really, a lot of people have it and really don't know it. So it's something to be said about just taking control of our health. We spend billions upon billions upon billions of dollars every year on healthcare in this country. And when we look at the number of illnesses that we have as relates to the people in this country, in terms of the access that we have to food and how our food is prepared, and yet you go to some other countries where they eat very, very, very little meat, and they eat a lot of vegetables, and they don't have the illnesses that we have here in the United States. So I would ask the question, why is it that this is something that the medical community doesn't tell us about in terms of nutrition? Well, I read somewhere that most doctors, when they go to medical school, only or have very few classes in nutrition. This is something I read on the internet. You can probably Google it yourself if you want to see it as well. But only having limited experience as it relates to nutrition makes you wonder exactly what actually can be done in the United States. If we took a different approach as to how we went about our health, and to just to know that we can do a lot to make ourselves better. Again, and I want to keep stressing that I'm not an expert in this. I'm just telling you my own personal experience. To be able to drop 53 pounds and I still eat 3 meals a day. I do juice a lot. Where I get a lot of nutrients in the juices that I drink, and all the vegetables that I eat. I eat a lot of vegetables, And I think there's just something to be said about that. I just recently, I'll be 65 years old coming up next year. And, I do feel good. I feel that this is something that anybody could do. But we've been so conditioned here in the United States to just, if it tastes good, that we eat it. And don't fool yourself and don't think that those individuals that are making the foods know exactly, what it is, what are the trigger points, what is it that we're doing that makes us want to eat a lot of salt, that makes us want to eat a lot of sugar. Hey, how you doing, Kay? I see you joined on board. That makes you want to do these things and eat like that. And then I think also too, there's some things that are genetics. Some people just have good genes. They can eat what they want, never have had any other health issues. You see people that are 105, 99, 102, 103 years old, and they've pretty much eat whatever they want. But and those are probably, in my opinion, some rare instances where people are able to do that. and still live, a long, long life. Hey, Kay, still live a long, long life. So you can argue and say yes, some is genetics. Well, some people are predisposed maybe to be heavy all their life, so some people are predisposed to be skinny all their life. But I believe that we can transform our bodies, we can transform our health, by just paying attention to what we put in our bodies, to what we eat. So there's a there's a lot to be said uh, about how we interact with the food that we eat. Um, I know personally with all the sugar that I used to eat, it was nothing for me to get a pack of Oreo cookies and to sit down and eat the whole pack of Oreo cookies in one setting. Uh, a whole pack of Oreo cookies. So you think about the amount of calories, the amount of sugar, and at the same time, too, this is quote unquote vegan, vegetarian, because it's not meat. But sugar is can be probably pretty bad for you, mainly because it can actually cause inflammation from what I'm told and what I've read. So, and again, folks that are watching this, I am not an expert. I'm just telling you some of the things that I've experienced and some of the benefits that I've had by just being able to get off of sugar. Sugar is basically like a drug. It's addicted. People that are addicted to crack and people are addicted to cocaine, but sugar is very, very, very addicting, and it doesn't uh, take a whole lot to be able to have that addiction and not even know that you have that addiction, and to have it for years and years and years. One of the things I know is I used to go to the gym, an awful lot. Years ago, I was an athlete. I played professional baseball in the Cardinal organization. So I was in pretty good shape back then. I was, because we ran every day. Our metabolisms were great. Uh, and that's great. I see my sister-in-law here says she lost 57 pounds and don't have no taste of sugar at all. She used to drink Diet Pepsi, but I don't drink Pepsi anymore, and that's amazing. Uh, that she's able to lose that amount of weight by not eating sugar. So kudos to you, Marie, to be able to do that. And I know yeah, it is hard to get off of sugar, Kay. It is. But again, it's hard to get off of crack. It's hard to get off of heroin. So when you think about it, sugar is just as addicting as those drugs are. So, how do these people get off of, people that are on drugs? How do you get off? You can try to say, I'm going to quit cold turkey. I'm just going to stop eating sugar. And that's hard to do. It's hard to do, especially around this time of year. You got the holidays, you go somewhere, people got cookies, they got pastries, they got candy, and it's in abundance. And Thanksgiving, from Thanksgiving on, is almost like a eat-a-thon from Thanksgiving all the way to the first of the year. And then you go to the gyms in January, you can't even get on the machine. And then you go to February, and there's so many different machines too. So San Marie said that the chemo that she was taking has damaged the nerves in her body to sugar. She doesn't have a taste for it anymore, which is probably good, Marie, because how addicting sugar is, and Kay says that sugar is in everything, and it is, and it goes under a lot of different names as well. You have I think somebody told me, anything that ends in OSE. When you check your labels and look at what ingredients are and some of the things that we fructose, OSE, which is another thing for sugar. And then you have to look at the things that you're eating, and then look at the labels and look at the items that are in the foods that you eat. If you can't pronounce it, you probably don't need to be eating it. However we can eat food in its most natural form, where you don't have a lot of additives, you don't have a lot of preservatives, things that they put in the food to keep them fresh, to keep them from spoiling. And if you don't cook all the nutrients out of it, spinach, lettuce, bell peppers, tomatoes, onions, you can make your own soups. You can actually make your own veggie burgers and make them yourself as opposed to having processed veggie burgers. Because even when you look at the veggie burgers that are being made, these are basically, it's processed foods. It's made in the factory as opposed to making your own veggie burgers, which I've done before as well. And they taste pretty good. I don't put any sugar in it. And I don't, and I've never been a salt person, somebody that used a lot of salt. I, never put salt in my food when I'm cooking. But sugar is in everything, everything that we eat. If you look on there, there's some type of sugar in there. And the way they label things nowadays, they can say sugar free. But yet when you look at it and you see that OSE, that's just another form of sugar. And the people that sell the food, they know, I mean, what people, fat free, you can eat sugar. Sugar is fat free. But people think, oh man, I can eat this because it says it's fat free. But you look at the amount of grams of sugar that it has in it, and it's really not healthy for you. So I just wonder, what exactly will it take for us, in this country? And believe me, it's a billion, multi-billion dollar industry, the food industry. Or if you even want to look at some of the documentaries in terms of how they do, the cattle and the pigs, how they fatten them up, how they shoot them up with steroids to get them ready for production in terms of being able, to kill them and get them to market. The quicker you can get them to market, the better. There's some documentaries out there you'll see where chickens, they shoot them up or put so many steroids, they can't even hardly stand up. The cows, they just put them out there and just feed them, all these antibiotics. It used to take 18, 19 months, 2 years almost for a cow to get to be full size to be able to go to slaughter. Now they can do that in about 8 months just by feeding them and putting these antibiotics. And just think, folks, when they slaughter these animals, those antibiotics are still in their system. So basically, I guess it'd be safe to say that the same thing that are making them big and swole up, we as people are also eating that as well. So there's something to be said about that in terms of how we're going to go about taking care of ourselves better. And again, we're digging a grave with our teeth. See, my nephew, one of my nephews has just joined. He's watching, and he's pretty health conscious now. I know he goes to the gym a lot and work out, and I'm proud of him of that, that he's out there working out every day and taking care of his health, which is great. I see my other cousin, Gabriel, is watching. And I'm glad that our family is on here, to be able to talk about this because it's so important for us. We want to have a good quality of life and to be able to, to be able to live and to be healthy. And it all starts with what we put in our bodies, be it food, be it alcohol, be it drugs. All these things are detriment to our bodies. And I'm thankful that, being going to be 65 years old, that I've the lights have come on. And again, I said I've been a vegetarian for over 20 years. So I thought that I was doing something by being a vegetarian, but at the same time, my diet was still messed up. And I was 246 pounds. I went from 246 to 193. So that's 53 pounds that I lost. And I want to tell you too, and it was without a lot of effort. I don't go to the gym every day, but just shows me in terms of how much my diet was in terms of because I would go to the gym when I was going to the gym every day, and I couldn't lose any weight. I'd get on the Stairmaster for a half hour. I'd get on the treadmill for a half hour. I'd lift weights and do the machines and look at the end of the week, and the needle probably barely moved. I maybe lost a half a pound. But at the same time, I was still eating a lot of sugar, still eating a lot of breads, eating a lot of processed foods, and even oils. You know, they tell you about the different oils. You got olive oil, you got canola oil, which I found for me personally, those oils really weren't good for me as well. So I stopped with the oils. When I cook my foods, I don't even use any oil now. I use a little bit of water, and I don't cook it on a high temperature. And to answer your question, Kay, I lost the weight after giving up the sugar. And so when I see how much weight that I lost just by not eating sugar, it lets me know that something's going on here. And if I did that by not eating sugar and the white flour and the breads with the yeast in it, I'm like, if I can do that and not even going to the gym every day, what on earth could other people do? And I know I've had conversations with people that the first thing they say is, well, how do you get your protein? How do you get your protein? You got to have meat in order to get your protein. There is a lot of protein in vegetables. And especially if you juice a lot, because now you can take and condense those vegetables and you're able to get a lot of the nutrients, get a lot of the protein that you need just by doing that. And again, I'm no expert on this, so I know this is something that I could do. I'm sure that anybody else can do this as well. And it's just so much. And my sister-in-law said that you don't know what you eat. They shoot the meat up with everything and anything we eat, so we don't know what we're eating these days. And Marie, you're so correct on that. I don't go out to the restaurants and eat, hardly anymore. And every Sunday, I used to go to Golden Corral, my wife and I. After we got off from church, we'd go to Golden Corral, and was another couple we'd go there with. And folks, we would sit in there from about 11:30 to probably 6 o'clock in the evening. Yeah, you heard what I said. From about 11:30 to about 6 o'clock in the evening. And we would get there before, matter of fact, it'd be before 11, because we would get there before breakfast would start being served. So we'd have breakfast, and we sit there and we talk. Sometimes we'd even take naps in Golden Corral. And then we'd eat the lunch, sit there and talk, and then we eat dinner. Now, granted, they didn't kick us out, because once we were in there, we paid. They never asked us to leave. We got to the point where we were so regular that as soon as we walked through the door, the guy would start making whatever. I like hash browns. I'd eat egg whites, which I don't eat egg whites now anymore as well. And then I would just eat, and I was just eating vegetables, thinking that, man, I'm doing good. But even when you eat vegetables, and there are two types of vegetables you can eat. You can get a canned vegetable, which is technically processed. They put preservatives in the can in order to preserve it. That's why you can have canned goods that'll be a year old and you can still eat them, as opposed to getting fresh vegetables, cutting them up, cooking them, making soups out of them. So there's so much that we can do to be able to basically just to make our health better. And the younger we start something like that, the better it is for all of us. And even if you have children, to push them along the same way. Growing up, being a vegetarian, I never forced my kids to eat a certain way. They just took it upon themselves to become. Well, actually, my daughter's a vegetarian, and my son is a pescatarian. So when he told me that, he said, "Dad, I'm a pescatarian." I said, "Well, I thought you was Baptist." I was just kidding. That's a little joke there. But pescatarians, basically, all they do is they eat fish, and they don't eat any other meat. So And so there's some health benefits to be said for that. But I'm telling you, listen when I say sugar is the number one culprit, as well as salt, which is also number one culprit. I remember one day there was a lady that was addicted. She had high blood pressure, and this has been years ago. Uh, she was over our house, and she brought a potato salad, and this is probably over 30 years ago. And I remember when I put the potato salad on the table that she had made, and I went to taste it. It was like somebody had took the salt shaker and just turned it upside down and let all the salt. It was so salty that my head started hurting after eating 1 tablespoon of it. And I noticed she was just eating it and it wasn't. So I'm like, man, how can she eat this? But all this salt in here, how but her body was so accustomed to having salt. I watched the guy another time I was somewhere at a function at a dinner, and they were bringing the plates out to the food or whatever. And I remember when they set this plate down next to the guy next to me, he immediately grabbed the salt shaker and just started putting. Now he hadn't even tasted the food, but he was so accustomed to using salt that he just figured, I know this is not going to taste the way I wanted to taste. And I remember saying something to him too. I said, "Hey, man, put that salt shaker down." And he looked at me and he said, "Get out of my plate." So I got out of his plate, But just the mere fact that he was addicted to salt, sugar, fried foods, white flour. Then these are things that, to me, and I can't speak for everybody else. I'm just telling you what worked for me when I cut these things out is that I just started feeling a whole lot better. And, we got relatives out there that I'm glad that they go to the gym. I'm glad that they work out. I'm glad that they're doing things for their health. I see Kina's on there. I know she goes to the gym a lot. I see some of her Facebook posts, and I think that's great. And to be able to instill some of those same things in your children. It's so easy now for kids just to eat sugar. When you see little kids that are 8 or 9 years old and they over 200 pounds, there's something wrong. It is something wrong. To be that young and to be that overweight, to see kids 11 years old with diabetes, 12 years old with diabetes, that, folks, there's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with that. And these are generational things that have been passed down. You got your soul food restaurants. You go there and you get your candy yams and your turkey and your dressing and fried this, sweet potato pie, bean. And believe me, I could eat a whole Patti LaBelle sweet potato pie. Like it wasn't nothing. I'd buy 2 or 3 of them. And I'd eat a whole pie, probably within an hour. But folks, it was vegan because it wasn't meat, but it was full of sugar, full of butter. Oreo cookies. Just eat some. I know I had a nephew, and he loves Oreo cookies. I remember coming up as a kid. He could sit down and eat a couple of packs of Oreo cookies. He might probably still doing it to this day. I'm not sure, but I remember watching him eat a couple of packs of Oreo and the double stuffed ones too, not the single one. I'm talking about the big fat ones. And something to be said about that. And I notice even my internal functions as it relates to how I eliminate is so much better now in terms of not having any type of constipation or have to, take a laxative or something to be able to, make your bowels move. Now it's with all the vegetables that I eat it's free flowing. Let me just put it like that. And all these things I believe are things that affect our health and can make us have particular types of illnesses or whatever. And if you get online and you start looking at some of these documentaries uh, that are out there that talk about food and how we eat, and and how we can heal our bodies and do different things, folks, it's a lot to be said about this, and how uh, we can change our health and change our habits. Uh, and again, it's hard because everything, like Kay said, everything we eat right now with some kind of way has got sugar in it, and that's why it's so important to pay attention to the foods that you're buying, the labels. If you're buying food, look on the label, see exactly what's in there, and if you can't pronounce it, woo, don't eat it. Yeah, uh, yeah. When we were younger, we weren't overweight. Yeah, and we weren't because even nowadays, we went outside and played. Kids now, they got the video games. They don't get up and go outside. I remember when we were kids, we'd get on the monkey bars or the merry-go-round, or we play hide and seek, but we were always moving, doing something. Now kids, they don't move like that anymore. We played baseball, we played basketball, we played football, but we were active. And now, kids are couch potatoes. And even with the cell phones, everybody's on the cell phone, everybody's doing something. So we're not as active as we used to be. Uh, I know my our grandson, MP3, Michael Pittman III, I was talking to our son, Michael, and they really don't even let him watch a lot of TV, just certain little things they'll let him watch on TV. But they don't want him to be addicted to electronic things, and which is great. And I see Marie said her doctor took her off high blood pressure medicine and everything. That is great. That is great. And they lost 57 pounds. So if Marie can do it, if this is something we can do. I know I think it was Les Brown said, and I'll say it again, is that we're digging a grave with our teeth. And we really are. And I'm just here trying to sound the alarm and tell people, basically how I feel. And God is good, Marie. You're right. The fact that you were able to do that, I know you have to feel better. And I know you used to like that fish. You like that fried fish and French fries and that type of thing. And, even growing up in St. Louis, we'd always go to quote unquote what we call the Chinaman. And that's no type of slur or whatever, but that's what they call it. The Chinese restaurants in St. Louis, they're not even restaurants. They're just little hole in the wall places. And people say, where you going, man? I'm going to Chinaman. I'm going to get me a pork fried rice, a bean fried rice, and all the oils and the white rice, that they're using. And more in most of these places, or in the black neighborhoods in St. Louis too, where you see a huge concentration of black people, you see a huge concentration of these particular type places. Or if you have in the predominantly black areas, low income areas, they have what's called, food deserts. You have to go to the little convenience store and you buy chips, and you don't see fresh vegetables and fruits because you have food deserts in a lot of these areas where you have a huge concentration of black people who live low income areas. It's just non-existent. And again, we're living in an age right now to whereby, and I said this to our pastor one day, I said, in this age that we're living in right now, it says, if you dumb and stupid, it's because you want to be. And the reason I say that, we have access to so much information now. Just think 30, 35 years ago, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have the access to Twitter and Facebook and being able to share information, on the drop of a dime. If you took a picture, you'd have to have a camera. You took the pictures and you took the film to Walgreens or somewhere and got the pictures developed. Now everything is immediate. The information highway. You can learn about anything and everything and become an expert. You go to YouTube. There are certain things that I need to try to figure out how to fix or whatever. I had bought a air fryer and had it for about a year and a half, and the air fryer stopped working. And I'm like, man, do I throw this thing away? So, you know, I did. I went on YouTube and I said, you know, air fryer not working, what could problem be? And it told me, hey, if your air fryer's not working, it needs this particular type of switch. So I found out what that switch was, went on Amazon, bought the switch for $6, got it, looked at the video on YouTube, fixed it, back in business. 30 years ago, that thing would have been in the trash. So what I'm saying is that we have access to so much information now to be able to be experts in whatever it is that we want to be, and to be as informed as we want to be. So there's really no reason for us to be ignorant, as you will, in terms of whatever's out there that's detrimental for us. In this case, isn't it funny? Chinese can eat rice and stay small, but rice will fatten us up. Yeah, but you know what? They don't eat a lot of meat. What we might eat for a meal for just one person, they'll feed 6 people with the same piece of meat that we would have, because they'll have a lot of vegetables and maybe one little small piece of meat, as opposed to, we might have oxtails or pork chops. It ain't just one, it's several, meatballs or whatever. So they don't eat as much. But my chiropractor told me he went to China. He goes over there and he studies every year for a couple of weeks. And he told me, saying, when I was in China, he said there must have been, I don't know how many fresh vegetable stands. And he said everybody was walking or riding bicycles to where they went. There wasn't a lot of vehicles, even though they have vehicles, but in terms of how we see vehicles here in the United States, he said so many people were walking or riding bicycles or wherever they went, which is good, because your body is moving and you're moving and you staying active. So there's a lot to be said about moving your body, about moving around or whatever. I don't know if my friend Mike Soldonic is he still on here, but Mike is guy's been a friend of mine for a number of years, and he trains a lot of elderly people, 70, 75 years old, and people that have turned their lives around at those ages, in terms of eliminating high blood pressure, eliminating diabetes, losing weight, that are stronger now at age 70 than they were at age 25. So it's never too late to be able to condition yourself or to change the way you eat or do it. It's never too late. As long as you got breath in your body, you have that opportunity to do that. So there's just so much to be said about that. And even though we're getting older, I know my uncle and aunt, they live in Cleveland. My uncle is 90, and I believe my aunt is 89. Correct me if I'm wrong. And still in pretty good shape. So is that genetic, or do they watch what they eat? Probably a little bit of both. But the mere fact that they're still here and they're functioning. 90 and 91, forgive me. So my uncle is 91 and my aunt is 90. And folks, they're still functioning. And still feeling good. So it's something to be said about that. I see so many of friends, that people that I grew up with, that didn't have good diets, that have gone on now. And 71st anniversary today. Oh, I did not know that, Kay. Thank you. I got to reach out then. 71 years they were married today. That in itself is a milestone, to be able to be married 71 years. So congratulations, Aunt Marge and Uncle Verge. That is great. It's it's kind of like an epiphany. Once you find out something, and you find out something is the way, not the way that you thought it was, but the way that it is, the light bulb comes on, and you just want to be able to say, man, I need to tell people about this. And again, I'm not an expert, and I got it backwards. She's 91 and my uncle is 90. Thank you for the correction. But I'm not an expert, again, on this thing. All I'm just telling you is that, the changes that I've made, and I'm going to probably be doing this a lot more often. This is the podcast that I have, and normally I do this podcast, and I'm bringing people on the show, and we're talking about issues that are important to the Black community and entrepreneurs, business owners. But I just felt I just wanted to freestyle tonight and talk about this because I think it's very important for us, especially as Black people, because we have the worst health than anybody. Diabetes, high blood pressure, and even what we call our illnesses is something. What we call our illnesses, Black people, instead of having diabetes, we got sugar. It's the same thing. Child, my sugar is acting up. Or people have gout, but we get the gout. Well, he got the gout. That's when your feet, the crystals, in your joints, and people feet hurt and stuff like that. There's so many different ailments out there that I believe that we could fix just with the proper diet and being able to, to get rid of those things that are. And the sad part about it is that we're doing this stuff and we have no idea what we can possibly be doing to our health and how we can even make ourselves better. It's remarkable. And once the light bulb comes on and you figure out, hey, this is something that I can do to be able to, have a more quality of life. So it's something to be said about it, folks. Something to be said about it. Mike, I want to bring you on. If you want to come on, Mike, to talk about, to talk a little bit about this too. Send your requests out there if you want to talk about this a little bit more, because this is so important. I know I'm just rambling on right now, but this is what I call a freestyle Thursday. I didn't have any particular guests on. I have a particular topic other than what I'm talking about right now in terms of how, how we can just make ourselves better. It's just a lot that we can do. It's a lot that we can do. And I'm glad I got family on here that's listening. Not that I'm some expert on this, but, it's just so much that we can do to be able to make ourselves better and to be able to have a better quality of life. So leave the sugar alone. I know it's hard with Christmas time coming up, but start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. And it's tough just to say, I'm stop eating sugar cold turkey. You'd be like Pookie in New Jack City, trying to stop. So ease your way into it if you have to, instead of eating 3 pieces of cake, eat one. Instead of eating, drinking 3, and then soda pop. Soda pop is, oh my goodness. The amount of sugar that they put in the soda is unbelievable. One soda, I forget, it was something like, was it 32 teaspoons of sugar? It was something that was just unbelievable. One soda. And I know people that'll drink 6 or 7 Mountain Dews a day. Some more than that. 6 or 7 Mountain Dews in one day. You imagine how much sugar that is and what that's doing to their bodies. And they do this on a daily basis, day in and day out. I see Jerry Arendelle is joined in. And I know I think she's a runner now and runs a lot and runs marathons, and basically somebody else I believe is pretty health conscious as well. So I'm just out here freestyling tonight, just talking about foods and what we eat, specifically plant-based diets, and the effects that it can have on our health in a good way. Again, me myself, everything I eat is all vegetables now. And I say now, I've been a vegetarian for 24 years, something like that. But it wasn't until the last 6 or 7 months that I really got serious about what I was putting in my body in terms of the sugars, the processed foods, and just leaving that alone. Again, just leaving that alone and eating more plant-based food in its more natural form, and not cook it as much. A lot of salads, a lot of juices. Carrot juice, apple juice, and these are all made with a juicer. I have a very high profile juicer. It's called a Norwalk, and it's a cold press, and it's a 2-stage juicer. They're very expensive, but if it's nothing when you start talking about I got to go to the doctor and pay this to be able to to make your own juices that are fresh. And this thing is so good is that it pretty much pulverizes the juices, and when you get done, it's like sawdust because it extracts all the liquid out, and then you drink that, and there's so many nutrients in that juice when you drink it, in terms of what it can do for your health. Hey, Uncle Virgil, they say your uncle is watching. Happy anniversary, 71 years, man. That's a milestone. It goes 71 years. Some people can't go 71 days. So to be able to be married 71 years is remarkable. And I commend you, and you've been a role model for me for decades. And so I commend you on that, to be married 71 years and still going strong. Still going strong. So and kudos to you. I don't know what more to say, but just keep it up. Keep it up, because you inspire a lot of people. But as I was saying as well, when the foods that we eat, pay attention. Pay attention. If you're going out to eat at a restaurant, you're at the mercy of the restaurant, because you don't know how the food's being cooked, what they're putting in the food, what the additives are, because most of it is packaged. People might say, well, I'm going to eat fish. And then eating the fish, find out where the fish come from. What's the country of origin if you're going to eat fish? Some countries, they don't have an FDA in terms of how they process or how they prepare food and how it's shipped over here. Folks, if you just started Googling some of this stuff and really became informed in terms of how food is prepared, where it comes from, it will give you a totally different perspective when you open up your mouth to choose something, because you want to wonder, where did this come from? How was it made? How was it processed? Farmers markets are something good to go to. Very good. And even with that, they spray a lot of foods with pesticides. Potatoes are probably one of the worst things that you can eat in terms of the pesticides and the sprays. So if you're going to eat them, get organic, certified organic, where they don't spray, because people say, well, I can just wash it off. Folks, no, you can't. I thought that as well. So everything that I eat now is organic. If it's organic fruit, it's organic Swiss chard, it's organic broccoli, it's organic cauliflower, it's organic apples, organic spinach, organic romaine lettuce, organic leeks, organic onions, organic tomatoes, so many different things that you can eat. And you'll recognize the difference. You'll recognize the difference right away. Marie said that when you go through life and you get into a battle, there's a lot of things that you give up, and you do. So some things that it's almost like you can pay now or you can pay later. You can give up these things, willfully now, or have to be forced to give them up because you've had some challenges as it relates to that. So there's a lot to be said about this, and I'm just hoping that some eyes are open, that people will pay more attention to the things that they're eating and the things that they're putting in their body, because folks, it affects your quality of life, whether or not you know it or not. And when you're younger, yeah, you can get away with a lot of different things. You're 17, 18, your metabolism is always burning. I remember years ago, we were playing baseball. We'd go out, go to the club, get in at 4 o'clock in the morning, get up, be at the ballpark at 3 o'clock the next day. You had that energy. Now, like I was telling somebody the other day, we were laughing. I say, man, I was telling me, I say, man, he normally goes to bed after the news goes off. I said, was that 10 o'clock? He said, no, it was 6 o'clock news. I said, okay. But it's important to get your rest. They talk about drinking so much water a day, which is good. But you can get the same thing by juices. And when you extract all the nutrients out of it and you drink it, it energizes your body. At least it has for me. So I can just say that, hey, pay attention. Pay attention to what you're putting in your body. Pay attention to what you're eating. Walk, exercise. When you go out and you go to the store, don't get the space closest to the door. Park farther away. Get that little step, walking in, walking back. Because some people, that's the only exercise they might get in a day. They might work in the office, and you go in the office and work, and every day they bringing in something to eat. Every day they bringing in something to eat. Some of the people in there, just every day, they just live for whatever they bringing something in to eat. I'm like, man, I was telling the guy the other day, he was telling me about his job and how every day, it's like potluck every day. And like some of the people, I say, man, every time your elbow bend, your mouth fly open. Sounds like because you're eating so much. And again, I just think this is important. Again, I just came on here. I didn't have a guest on the show today. I just wanted to come on here and just talk and see who was willing to listen, which I got a lot of family on there listening, which is great that they're getting some of this. And I know my sister-in-law, she's basically had some health challenges, but she's dropped 57 pounds. And, but, she's still out there because you can turn this thing around. You're never too old to be able to take control of your health. You're never too old. And again, there's so many documentaries out there on YouTube. You Google stuff. It will inspire you to be informed about what it is that you're eating, how you can take better care of yourself, and how you can just turn things around. Again, we're at an age now, living in an era now where there's no reason for ignorance. It's just too much information out here. YouTube, Googling, things such as this, podcasts galore. So you can be as informed as you want to be. You can do as much research as you want. You can look as many videos as you want, and you can talk to other people. See exactly what are some of the things that they've done to be able to be able to heal themselves. I did a post on on one of the sites on Facebook, and I was inquiring and asking about pretty much plant-based diets. I'm going to try to find some of them on here, but they were let's see the word I'm trying to find some of them on here. But let me see. Let me look at some of the comments. Let's see. There's a person say they dropped 100 pounds, been meat-free the past 4 years, no more diabetes or PCOS. Kids are totally different. Her daughter is no longer on any ADHD medication or symptoms. And no more skin or eczema issues. That's changing diet. Somebody else said that they dropped 70 pounds since going plant-based. Last year, they cut out sugar and went raw vegan last 3 months, raw vegan most of the year, mostly raw. Unbelievable. Somebody else said they decided to become a vegetarian in 2018. They lost 35 pounds. Brain fog was gone, no longer an issue, and their sleep was better. Woke up every morning feeling refreshed. changed their life, and they wrote a book about it. Somebody else said they lost 30 pounds in the last 3 months after dropping meat and simple sugars and bread while eating and drinking fresh juices, vegetables, protein shakes with water and fish. They feel 100% better, much more energy, and the doctors noticed and told them to keep going. Somebody else said they've been plant-based for 30 years or 65 years old. They exercise daily, no issues, no illnesses, no medication. Somebody else said they've been a sugar addict all their life, also been a vegetarian for over 22 years, but still ate a lot of sugar. You know what? That's me, folks. Let me look, and I'm just looking on some of the comments. Somebody else said they lost 40 pounds by stop eating sugar since April. Let's see. Plant-based since 2017. Dropped 25, 30 pounds. Somebody else lost 30 pounds since mid-July. Modified doing keto and exercise. Somebody else lost 20 pounds. The weight loss is probably the most appealing thing because one, extra, to get rid of extra weight, there's less strain on your knees, there's less strain on your joints, there's less strain on your heart. It'll do wonders for you. It will actually do wonders. Let me see if I can find a few more on here, some of the comments that were made. Somebody said they reversed the whole disease with plant-based eating and fasting. And fasting is another good thing for you as well. I'll tell this story, which I'm sure she won't remind me telling, but probably 17, maybe 18 years ago, my wife got diagnosed with sarcoidosis, which is the same disease that Bernie Mac died from. She got diagnosed with sarcoidosis, and they told her that there was no cure for the sarcoidosis, and that they wanted to put her on an inhaler, I think, of steroids. And I remember she prayed, and she went on a 40-day fast. 40 days, nothing but water for 40 straight days. And folks, here we are 18 years later, gone, nothing, no problems, coughing is gone. So there's something to be said about that. That was pretty much a diet change. It was drastic to go on a 40-day fast. And I remember there were some things that were coming out of her body that contributed to that. But that was, 18 years ago? And doctors say, hey, we can't find anything wrong now. So that was still another diet-based thing that, was pretty draconian. But at the same time, 18 years later, and no signs of it at all. So thank the Lord on that. But, thank the Lord for giving her to do that. So there's a lot. There's a lot that we can do. And this looking at this post that I made, there's a person said they've been plant-based for 3 years and they've lost 168 pounds. 168 pounds. They feel great. And the biggest thing they said is how good they felt after they got off processed foods. They still use some oils. They make their own salad dressing and marinate some foods. Somebody else said they've been plant-based for 15 years. Their BMI is 19.8. And this person is a medical doctor. And I asked them, my question was that I asked, why most MDs not open to doing what you're doing. There's a black cardiologist in Houston, Texas, and he doesn't prescribe any medication. His name is Dr. Baxter Montgomery. You guys can Google him and look him up. Doesn't prescribe any medication for any of his patients. He treats all his patients with a plant-based diet. And he's been able to reverse heart disease, get rid of heart disease. Google him. He's in Houston, Texas. His name is Dr. Baxter Montgomery, a black doctor down in Houston. uh, and has been able to eliminate a lot of these problems. So there's something to be said about that. But I was asking her, this lady, why does the medical community do this? And she was saying because, a lot of them, they really don't know. They're not open to it. Plus, folks, it ain't no money in the food. The money is not in the money is in the medicine. So, and she said big pharma, is what to play in that. So, but her comments was they are skeptical. But she said, what I do, she helps patients. She said, I have years to learn to treat with medications, procedures is what they know. There is no incentive to them when a patient heals themselves, so it's kind of a threat to them. Interesting. It's sad, but some of the doctors are also having the same diseases, so they will learn to heal and not maintain diseases and continue to share. So I know I've been rambling here for a minute now, and I'm probably gonna go ahead and get off of here. But those that were able to tune in and listen to what I had to say. Again, I'm no expert on this. See, my friend Lorenzo was watching. I know I think he's changed his diet as well. I know years ago he had a few challenges, but there's something to be said about when you get a wake up call, and it's kind of like, hey, I need to do something different. And no matter how old you are, you can still go out and you can change, and you can you can make yourself. How you doing, Lorenzo? Just seeing you, saying hello. And I know Lorenzo is a good friend of mine. He's older than me, and he looks younger than me. So, but I know he's made some changes in his health and done some things. So you're never too old. You're never too old to learn and get the knowledge again, because there's so much knowledge out here to get with YouTube and the internet and documentaries that you can turn your life around and help turn other lives around. Turn in your family's lives around by just being able to be aware of what you put in your body. Folks, it's so simple, but yet so hard, because one, food is a drug. Food is addictive. Sugar is a drug. Sugar is addictive. Salt is addictive. And you can say, okay, well, I do it in moderation, which is probably good. But when you go overboard with it, it's not good. I don't know anybody that's OD'd on spinach, OD'd on carrots, OD'd on juices. But I know some people that OD'd on chicken wings. I know some people that OD'd on chitlins. I know some people that OD'd on pork chops, bacon. I saw on online, I think it was YouTube, where they had a pork chop, uncooked pork chop, and you can Google this too. And they took a Coca-Cola and poured it on this uncooked pork chop, and within seconds, all these maggots started coming up out of this uncooked pork chop. Now, folks, if that there is not enough to say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be eating this, because unbeknownst to me, that a hog is one of the few creatures that you can't poison. Do you hear what I said? You cannot poison a hog. So think about that. If you can't poison the hog, where does all that stuff go? Where is it at? It's retained in the body. And so what happened when you're eating bacon and pork chops and pork steaks and chitlins and pig feet and pig ears and pigtails and mountain oysters and pig snoots? Our people, we've always learned, to eat a hog from the rooter to the tutor and everything in between. Crackling, or skins as they call it. Once you get an education on this, or just start trying to figure out and learn more about this, you become more intrigued and you start saying, man, you know what? It is so much. I found out so much that I don't know. And every day is a learning experience for me. I'm trying to learn more and more and more, and to be able just to get on here and talk. Now, I'm going to be, this is a podcast that I do, but I'm just freestyling tonight. I didn't bring anybody on, but I'm going to be setting up some shows and try to get some other experts, people that know much more about this than I do, to be able to impart some of this information on people out there that they can learn what it is to eat right. And I know that everybody is not going to be able to stop eating sugar, stop eating meat. But if you just become more aware of what it is that you're putting in your body on a daily basis, just become aware. Read your labels, see the content. And again, like I said earlier, if you can't pronounce it, you probably don't need to be eating it. And some of these items you'll look and there'll be 10 or 15 items of ingredients in something. And you can't pronounce maybe one or two of those items, and the rest of them, I have to Google them and then look them up. There was one particular item I saw, and I can't remember what it was, but it's something that they use in embalming fluid. You heard me? Embalming fluid, one of the ingredients that they use, and this is something that's in the food. So I'm just saying, pay attention to what it is that you're eating, because you can really make a lot of positive things happen for you in your life. So having said that, I know I've been talking now for about an hour. I've just been rambling, but I hope I rambled and said something that somebody can use and be able to help you. Kay said, Mike, some people have to be careful when dropping sugar weight loss may come off fast, which can cause muscle mass loss, which, again, I'm not an expert in that, but I know a lot of people that have lost, people that have been just really big. They've lost a lot of weight and they started lifting weights, whatever. Even after lifting those weights, they got so much excess fat. There was a guy, I remember, he worked at a restaurant here. It was an IHOP restaurant here in Springfield that we used to go and eat at. And this guy lost like 385 pounds. He was a big rascal, and he lost all this weight. And he was telling me, he showed me that he had all this excess skin because he had lost so much weight. And he had to wear like a girdle, that would, kind of pack all the skin in. And he had to go get a lot of the skin removed because he had lost so much weight. So, okay, you can lose some muscle mass, but I think that, maybe with proper weight training, again, I'm not a big weight lifter. Maybe my nephew can probably, shed some light on that. I know he lifts a lot of weights and he's big and muscular, where he could do something like that. But again, and if I don't know it, hey, Kay, get right on here and Google it. YouTube, Google it. And it's just so much out here now that we can learn. I'm just amazed. I'm just going to keep saying it. If we dumb now, it's because we want to be dumb. And what do we spend our time on a daily basis? It's been an old saying is that, we buy what we want, or we beg for what we need. And so when you're spending time, almost like you say, when you're spending money, you're spending time doing stuff that you can't grow with, you don't get any more knowledge with, but then now you want to ask somebody else and take up their time. That's kind of like begging for what you need when you can go out and do it yourself. I don't know if that's making any sense, but it's just so much we can learn. So much we can learn. And I just, those that have come on and listen to me ramble, I am going to be doing some shows. I got some other experts that I want to have on the shows I reached out to. I've been trying to get Dr. Esselstyn on. He's out of the Cleveland Clinic. He was one of the guys in Forks Over Knives, but he's 90-some years old now. I've reached out to him, and I like to have folks like that on that can speak from an expert point of view. and have the results through some of the patients that they've worked with and some of the things that they've done, the work that they've been able, it just adds more credibility in my, because I'm just a regular guy on here rambling and telling you about some of the successes I've had. So, and maybe that's what it's going to take. Everyday people doing extraordinary things. So, having said that, I want to say thank you all to those that tuned in to listen. Kay said there are going to be certain days and times you're on, and some of that's going to be as a result of who I can get for guests. And normally when I'm running this show live tonight, normally when I have my guests on, I'll take that show, and then I'll let folk know, hey, I'm going to be airing this show on Monday or Tuesday. So to answer your question, not yet, but I just want to get more content out there. To where people can see exactly what we're doing. What's up, Paul? I see you out there watching, huh? The people can actually see what it is that we're doing, what we're talking about, because, we just want to live as long as we can and have the best quality of life as we can. And to do that, if we can, disease free, no heart issues, no diabetes, no high blood pressure, no gout, no limbs or weak limbs or whatever. And it doesn't take a whole lot just to be able to move your body. Push-ups, do push-ups. 10 push-ups, start off at 10. Start off at 2 if you can't do 10. But every day, just try to do one more. So if I can only do 1 today, I do 2 tomorrow. Third day, I do 3. Fourth day, I do 4. Next thing you know, in a month, I'm doing 30. In 90 days, I'm doing 90. 120 days, I'm doing 120. But you know what? You got to start somewhere. And don't be ashamed if you can't do what somebody else can do, because I'm sure it's something that you can do that they can't do. And it might not be the physical thing. It might be something up here that you have. So, and this is something else I want to say, and I'm going to say this and get off. Everybody in this world, everybody came here in this world with a gift. Everybody is gifted that they can do something better than anybody else, and they're really gifted at that. And the sad part about it is that a lot of us have gifts that we don't use, and a lot of times people take those gifts to the grave. Even in Scripture, it talks about gifts, and the gift is without repentance. That means you'll always have the gift. The gift will always be in you. Or do you manifest it? Do you let it come out? There's a guy I've been trying to get on the show. He's out of Peoria. He's an artist. He graduated from college. In 7 days, I think about 10 days after he graduated from college, he got sentenced to 10 years in prison. But yet while he was in prison, he found out, man, you know what? I can draw. And I think he did 10 years, but this guy is one heck of an artist. Now I've been trying to get him on the show. I won't say his name right now. I don't want to spoil it. But now he's an artist. He travels all over the country selling his artwork. I mean, people like Oprah Winfrey, Bill Clinton have his artwork. And one time I had an art gallery here in Springfield, and I remember he brought down some of his stuff to display. So I'm just going to bring down some of my cheap stuff, and his cheap stuff was like $5,000 or $10,000. I'm like, well, you're probably not going to sell that here, but he goes to art shows. But what I'm saying is that this is a talent that he had that he didn't realize it until he got in the position. He found out, you know what, I got some talent. But everybody that's listening here tonight has got some sort of talent. And my question is that, are you using that talent? Some people can cook, cook chicken, but it have to be chicken. Some people are gifted writers, gifted speakers. You think about Malcolm X. He had the gift of being able to speak. What was he, a fourth grade student? Fourth grade student, I believe it was, or something like that. But he was one of the most gifted orators of our time. So, but that was a gift. And we all have them. We all have them. So ask yourself this question tonight. What is my gift? Now, what did I come on this earth with that I'm not utilizing. Uh, people talk about the gift of gab. Some people that are able to talk, some people that are able to rap, and we all have them, folks. We all have them, but figure out what your gift is, and one, how you can use that gift to help somebody else, how you can use that gift to help yourself, because we all came here with them. And the graveyards are the richest places on earth. You know why? Because so many of these gifts go to the graveyard, and they're never manifested. So thank you all for listening. I love you too, Kay, cousin. Marie, love you too. That is still out there. Lorenzo, love you, buddy. Paul, good seeing you. Nephew, it's good seeing you. Mike, it's good seeing you all. And this show it'll be online, so you can go back and look at it again. I've been on here now talking for an hour and 21 minutes. So, and I'm going to go ahead and say that's it. And I'll be putting out a schedule as to when I'm going to do these shows. I'm trying to line up guests now that'll come in and offer information that's beneficial to us, especially as Black people. Once we get the knowledge, what somebody said, there was an old saying, if you want to hide something from a Black person, put it in the book. Don't know how much truth there is to that, but you don't have to hide in the book. Now it's on the internet. You got your phone. You can look it up on your phone. So there's a lot of information out here to be had, folks. So saying that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Say thank you all for tuning in and watching the show. And take care. We will see you all later. And I'll be letting you guys know when something else comes back up. Take care, everybody. And good night. That's right. Bye-bye.